Hello, everyone. Our project is on the latissimus dorsi and the trapezius muscles. This is by Drew Vonstein, Jeffrey Sabder, and Jaden Miller for our Kinesiology and Physiological Foundations of Sport course with Dr. Lombardi. The latissimus dorsi and trapezius are rear upper extremity muscles that work together to perform actions and provide posture and movement.
So the first part of the trapezius is the descending or the upper part. The origin for this is the nuchal ligament, which is the medial third of the superior nuchal line, as well as the occipital bone, which is the external occipital protuberance. The insertion for the descending upper trapezius is the lateral third of the posterior clavicle, as it's pictured in the bottom right picture.
All right, some actions for the descending or upper trapezius. It draws the scapula supermedially. It's an extension of the head and neck, which means lateral flexion of the head and neck. It also helps with the rotation of the head.
So next we have the transverse or the middle part of the trapezius. The origin is the upper thoracic vertebrae from T1 to T4, located right along the spine. And the insertion is the medial acromial margin, located at the medial border of the scapula towards the middle of the body.
So some actions for the transverse or the middle trapezius is that it draws the scapula medially or towards the middle of the body. And there's also a retraction of the scapula by pulling it towards the midline of the body, which is pictured here with the arrows facing towards the middle.
All right, up next is the ascending lower trapezius. The origin for this is in spinous process and supraspinous ligaments of the vertebrae T4 to T12, and its insertion is going to be the lateral apex of the medial end of the scapular spine.
So the actions that we have for the ascending or lower trapezius are that it draws the scapula inframedially, which is essentially down and towards the middle. It's responsible for the depression of the medial part of the scapula, which lowers the shoulder, and like in the picture shown, it allows your shoulder blades to move down.
So the next muscle we have is the latissimus dorsi. There are 4 parts to it, but it is all one big muscle. So first part is the scapular part, then the costal part, then the iliac part, and the vertebral part. And then as pictured in the right is the insertion of the latissimus dorsi, and there's a twist here that allows the muscle to be more flexible and allows the lats to stretch more.
All right, so first up for the latissimus dorsi is the vertebral part. The origin for this part is the spinous processes of the 7th to 12th thoracic vertebrae. The insertion is intertubular groove of the humerus.
So next we have the latissimus dorsi iliac part. The origin is the posterior third of the crest of the ilium, located here towards the rear. And the insertion is also the intertubercular groove of the humerus.
So the next part is the costal part of the latissimus dorsi. The origin is ribs 9 to 12, which is located here at the bottom of the rib cage. And then the insertion is the same. It is also the intertubercular groove of the humerus, which is located over here.
Finally, is of the latissimus dorsi is the scapular part. Insertion is going to be the same as the other 3 parts previously mentioned, but the origin is going to be the inferior angle of the scapula, and the picture in the middle does a real good job showing that it twists once it attaches to the humerus.
So the actions that we have for the latissimus dorsi, all the parts are being one big muscle. They all work together to perform the same functions and actions. So first we have arm internal rotation, which allows your arm to rotate towards your body internally. We have arm adduction, which allows you to bring your arm closer towards your body. And the opposite is arm extension, which lets you push your arm away from your body and extend it out. And latissimus dorsi also assists in respiration. So lastly, we have some videos of the exercises we did for the lats and traps in the smack. So first up is lat pull downs. That was our machine lat exercise. It allows the lats to get into a lengthened position and also an overhead position. With the pull down, it's important not to pull behind your neck, right? Because that can cause impingements and injuries. And the resistance is from a weight stack. Next is dumbbell shrugs, which is our free weight trap exercise. So that allows resistance from the dumbbells to be shrugged up and contracted at the top, which allows for the traps to get involved at the top of the movement. Next is dumbbell rows, which is our free weight lat exercise and also helps the traps. So being in a hinged position and bringing the weight closer to your body allows for a nice contraction, which will target the lats and the traps, and also lengthening the lats at the bottom when you have the weight down near the ground. And also at the top is when the traps are also slightly targeted. Next is face pulls with a cable, which is a machine trap exercise. So with this one, the resistance is away from you and you're pulling the cable towards yourself, towards the rear of your body, which contracts the traps at the back of the movement. And it is a great exercise for that whole area of the body. Next is a pull-up with a pronated grip, which is your typical pull-up grip. It's our body weight lat exercise. This is similar to the lat pull down, except for the fact that the resistance is your body weight. It's a similar movement, lengthening the lats and when your arms are fully extended, and then pulling up, which is similar to pulling down with the machine. Next is a machine row, which is our machine lat exercise. This is also similar to the dumbbell rows, but it's a more controlled environment. You're able to target the muscles better with the machine as it controls it more. There's no momentum swinging the weight or anything like that. And again, it also does target the traps a little bit with the row movements. Next is another pull-up, but this is a different variation with a hammer grip or a sideways grip. It's also a body weight lat exercise, but putting your hands in a different position puts the lat in a different position, kind of targets it a little bit differently. And there's also a little more trap focus holding the bar like that. Next is a TRX row, which is a body weight lat exercise using the TRX cables. This is also body weight resistance, similar to the previous rows, but you're pulling yourself up, which creates that resistance and targets the lats and traps. So next is a rope pull down, which is a machine exercise for both the lats and the traps. It's kind of a free movement thing, allows the body to move freely, but still target those muscles. Next is an air shrug, similar to the dumbbell shrug, but the resistance being your body weight, getting a nice contraction at the top. It's a very good intro movement to lifting. And lastly, we have dips, which is a body weight trap exercise, allowing yourself to come down and the resistance being pushing up against gravity, but again, body weight resistance that targets the traps.
All of these exercises were done at the SMAC Fitness Center. And then these are the websites that we used to find our information.
Thank you.